Turn on your sound. Turn on your sound. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. Hey, this is Brian Johnson, and more than likely, you recognize this pineapple. And more than likely, you recognize this pineapple because there's a video that I've done that's gone viral. I shot it a couple years back. It's got close to 1 million views and almost 18,000 shares on it. And if you watched it, which more than likely you did because you're connected to me because of that, when you watch it, you will notice that I talked about doing something with this pineapple stem in here that I totally forgot to tell you what to do with it. Now, with your permission, tonight I'm actually going to make that right for you. And I'm going to talk to you, and specifically I'm going to show you with my trustworthy blender here what you can do with the pineapple stem, how you can eat it, why it's beneficial, and most importantly, what that means for you. So first off, with your permission, I would love to just say thank you, that I appreciate you for investing your time with me, because there's no other resource that you could share with me that's more valuable than your time. So just understand that I do not take that lightly. That is very important to me. So with your permission, I'm going to share with you some of the best stuff that I'm aware of on the planet to help you make smart decisions about your health and help you to understand what to specifically do. So for those of you just hopping aboard, if this is your first time, just type first timer. If you are a veteran, type veteran heavy. And if you have been a family member for a while, just type family member. That way I can kind of see where you're at. And here's what I would also love to hear from you currently. I would love to hear from you if you actually watched the pineapple video that I'm talking about. If you did or if you did not, you can access the recipe and my pineapple video from the link that's in the description area of my post. All you gotta do is click on it. It'll give you that recipe of what I'm gonna use tonight, so that way you can have it, you can download it, you can use it for yourself. And really, with your permission, the importance part of this, what I'm about to share with you right now, is this. There was a very important time, pivotal time in my life when I first started doing videos about 4 years ago. And when I first started doing videos, literally, there was no one on the other end of the phone, no one on the other end of the video asking questions, saying, hey, this was helpful, hey, this was terrible. There was none of that. There was what I like to call crickets for literally 3 months. 3 months of doing 1 to 2 videos a day and no type of interaction at all with a human being. Now, that can be very interesting, because if you know anything about myself, me being fully Brian and fully transparent with you, one of the biggest things that I have is fear of rejection. All right? So if you are a human being, obviously you are, and you can relate with fear of rejection, just type fear of rejection. Is this something you experience daily? Because I can tell you, here we are 4 or 5 years later with a couple of viral videos under my belt. I still get nervous every time it's time to hop on here and have a conversation with you. Without a doubt, I go through the same mindsets and the same processes every time I get ready to do a video to share with you. So even though we're here 4 or 5 years later and I've done about a couple thousand of these videos, there's not a day goes by that I don't feel the potential fear of being rejected. So what does that mean for you, and why is this important? Well, I think it's important for you to understand that I am just like you, first off, that I experience the same things. I experience the same fears. I experience the same head games and things going on. And if I wouldn't have just allowed myself to be comfortable being uncomfortable and to really push through, we never would have got to this spot. So with your permission, I'm going to share with you a short story on how we actually got here to this video, so you can understand why it's important for me to connect with you and for me to be engaged with you and for you to hear what I'm saying. Because I really don't expect you to hear what I'm saying until you know me. So with your permission, I'm going to share with you a really quick story that will help you to understand a bit more about this. So as I was stating earlier, I did videos for 3 months with nothing going on. No type of interaction, no comments, no shares, nothing. 3 months, crickets. You can imagine by this point in time, I was literally asking myself, hey, am I supposed to be doing this? Am I doing this right? Or is there something else I'm supposed to do? Like, what is up? Something is not right. This is not normal. And I'm having this conversation with God in my head, and I'm like, you know, man, this is not what I signed up for. I did not sign up to feel rejected every day of my life as part of my career in the area of stepping in and stepping out into my purpose and serving people consistently. This is not what I signed up for. So in a non-verbal manner, God had me take my little self out into public. So I live here in Austin, Texas, for those of you that know. You've seen some of the videos that I do in HEB. That's one of my favorite stops. Well, the day that I was having a challenge, 3 months where there was nobody commenting on any of my videos, I was really doubting on whether I was going to continue doing this. I was really down and out. I was like, this is not going to work, man. We're going to have to do something else. So I went out in public that day. And I was at this place called Kohl's. Have you ever heard of Kohl's? If you heard of Kohl's, just type Kohl's. So let's see where you're at. So when I say Kohl's, it's a place where it's closed. It's just stuff like that, right? So I went in this store with no intention of getting anything, just really getting out of my house and getting out of my head. So I'm in there looking at stuff. And I'm just minding my own business. Been in there for 10, 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, I have this gentleman approach me from my right-hand side. Wasn't really paying attention, kind of minding my own thing. And all of a sudden, he goes, hey, man. He goes, is your name Brian Johnson, that guy from Facebook? And I said, yeah, man, it is. How can I help you out? He goes, well, you don't know me. I've never commented or shared any of your videos. I've never messaged you. I've never asked to have a conversation with you. He goes, I just would like to share with you, man, that you have changed my life. You've got me off all my medications. You got me off my depression. I don't sleep for 12 or 13 hours a day. I actually have hope and faith that my life is going to turn around and go well. I looked at that guy and said, hey, man, you have no idea how important it was for me to hear that out of your mouth right now. No idea at all. I was like, I know no one paid you money to come over here and tell me that, because I was just having this conversation in my head for the last couple of months, man. I said, honestly, brother, I was like, however I can support you and pour into your life, you have my commitment to do so. And I said, the next time you're on my video, just comment or just say something so that I know you're there and I can say hi. He says, all right, that's fair. So I said, okay. So we kind of went about our ways, and I was just sitting there just kind of thinking in my head. I was like, wow, did that just really happen? I was like, that's a fluke. You know, that's one person. Come on. You've had crickets for weeks, for 3 months. I was like, that doesn't happen. So I left Kohl's, and I went to HEB. I get to HEB, and I'm kind of walking around my thing like I do when I'm looking at groceries and doing videos and things like that. And I get to HEB, and I'm standing at the aisle, and I'm looking at something. And all of a sudden, this is the same day, about an hour later, all of a sudden I have a lady approach me from my left-hand side. She comes up to my left-hand side, and she goes, hey, is your name Brian Johnson? Is that guy from Facebook? I said, yes, it is. I said, how can I help you out? She goes, well, man, I have a story to tell you. Do you mind if I share a minute with you? I was like, please do. This sounds like something I need to hear. So she goes, all right. So basically what happened was, she goes, you know, my mom was on medications for 10 or 15 years, consistently in and out of the doctor, consistently running tests, consistently doing pointless surgeries and procedures. And she finally was like, you know, she just wasn't having it anymore. So I introduced her to your videos, and I started helping her make the adjustments, and we started making some adjustments with the simple things that you started suggesting. And lo and behold, like a month later, she's off all her medications. She's out of the doctor's office. The doctor has no idea how and why and what she did specifically to get out and to get healthy. And we both know it was because of the stuff that you were sharing in your videos. I looked at her the same way I looked at that guy. I said, you have no idea how important it was for me to hear that's out of your mouth today. Because for the last 3 months, I've been talking to myself in my own videos, which gets really boring after a while. There's no one to interact. There's no one to ask questions. There's no one to share value with, so someone can take home and implement it and say, hey, man, the stuff you shared with me worked great. So with that being said, needless to say, here we are a couple viral videos later, and 3 or 4 years later into my video shooting experiences. And honestly, there were so many times that I wanted to quit. for feeling uncomfortable, for feeling rejected, for not feeling good enough, for you name it. Any things that we have as a human being, I had every one of those and still do on a day-to-day basis. I just learned how to control them and understand that that's just a lie. Without those two people approaching me in one day, that same day that I went out when I was really doubting it, you and I would not be here right now. So for those two people, wherever you're at, I don't know where you're at, but you may be on here. And just to kind of give you a heads up now, every time I'm out in Austin, at least once a week, I have someone come up to me, hey man, is your name Brian Johnson from Facebook? I said, yes it is. And they have the same story to share with me in their own manner. And really all I'm asking you to do from Brian to you is this. Please share my video with someone that you love, because I assure you, you never know who it is that you're going to impact. You never know who in your life needs the information. You never know who in your life, because a lot of times they don't feel comfortable asking. So if you don't mind, please share my broadcast with someone that you love. I assure you someone will watch it that will get the information and will use it, because the beauty of the information that I share is I'm breaking down the wisdom that's in God's foods that most people know nothing about. This just so happens to be one of my sweet spots where I've invested a lot of time. To kind of give you an idea, most medical doctors, less than 6% of them, have a minimum of 10 hours of nutrition credits. That's 6% of them. So anything that I share with you on that level, your doctor is not going to have any idea, more than likely, of what I'm talking about and why you should do it. Therefore, that's going to leave you being responsible for you. And what I'm offering to you for your consideration is this. I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to empower you with the wisdom necessary so you can make smart decisions about your health, so you can make common sense decisions about your health from the grocery store. That's my goal. That's my outcome. So with your permission, I'm going to be Brian, because I don't know how to be Frank. Any questions that you post for me right now, I can't see them because I'm kind of far back. I will get to them. You have my commitment more than likely tomorrow. Just post your questions and I will get to them as soon as possible. Feel free to be yourself. I'm not requesting you to be anybody else but yourself, and I would appreciate it if you are yourself. Most of the people that are on here, most of my family members are on here. I talked to many of you. I've talked to probably a few of you on the phone today. So anyone who has gotten involved with us on our Recharge 24 supplement level, I've called. People who've gotten in my 30-day challenges, people who are just interested for more information. No matter where you're at, we have some way to support you. And all that we're going to request that you do is just get connected with us. So use the link in my description area to access the recipe that I'm about to start doing right now. We'll be done in 15-20 minutes. Get the recipe that I'm going to do right now. And you'll also be able to access the original pineapple video in case you haven't seen it, so you can see where the couple 100,000 people actually said, hey man, you never talked about what to do with the pineapple. So for you, my loving teammates and family members, this is what we're about to do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in and have some fun. So right now I'm going to show you the pineapple, the eating of the stem. And the importance of eating the stem is this. There are some enzymes called CCS and CCZ. They're out of Queensland is when they've been studied. BBC London News 2005 is a study if you choose to look it up. They actually found that the enzymes in the stem, which I will show you here in a second, are great for anti-tumor and anti-cancer situations. Now here's the thing I'm going to share with you. I'm not a doctor. Anything I share with you, you need to share with your doctor for your own personal purposes. And this. It's important to understand that there's not one food that's going to knock out any type of symptom or disease. It may help, and it's going to be by lifestyle. And here's something that's very important. I counted them today, thinking about our call right now. I've been thinking about this all day, of having this conversation with you. This is very important, so listen to me now. Trust me and follow my advice, and you can avoid the situation of what I'm about to share with you. Many of you know that my brother passed away about 2 years ago, completely avoidable. I also had 5 other friends pass away this last year and a half. Every one of them was avoidable by lifestyle. What I'm offering to you to consider is this. A disease will only take part in your body if you allow it to do so by your mental capacity and by your lifestyle. You can eat pineapple stems till you're blue in the face, but if you don't deal with the emotional trouble that's causing it, it's not going to help. So when I say this is not a cure-all, this is something you add into your lifestyle with the emotional work that you're doing, with the connection that you're doing in our groups, with the connection that you're doing maybe in my 30-day challenge or our one-on-one programs or any of our group programs or maybe any of our education or any of our digital platforms. We provide the systems to help you be the best version of yourself through what we call human optimization. It's going to come from air, water, food, and consciousness, or your mental capacity. That's the first 4 things you're going to die without in that order. And when you can focus on those and you can master the basics, you too will empower your life to be rid of any type of issues that are 100% unnecessary. And to qualify and validate my statement, here is this. I have not been sick in close to 28 years now. I'll be 40 in November. That's it. And it's only because I understand a few ninja tricks, the things I share with you on a consistent basis. For those of you that are in our groups and that are in my 30-day challenge, these are the exact same habits that I help you to integrate into your life. Meditation, spiritual connection with God, understanding God's wisdom and God's foods. That is your medicine. This is my health insurance. I haven't had health insurance for 12 years because I don't go to the doctor. When you have health insurance, here's something I'm going to invite you to consider, because until it was presented this way, I never even thought of it like that. So check this out. When we have health insurance and our government's jangling our health insurance and all of our 401ks and all that stuff around our face and everyone freaks out, we're basically betting on the number 3 killer in the U.S. Our medical system is the number 3 killer in the U.S. They don't tell you this. It's called iatrogenesis, which is unnecessary medical deaths due to medical procedures that go south. Many of them, unfortunately. That's why it's called a medical practice. Now, when you're going for health insurance, what you're basically saying is that you're betting that you're going to get so sick that you cannot afford it. That's what health insurance is. So you pay your hard-earned money that takes money out of your family's pockets, out of your kids' college funds, out of your kids' lunch money, out of your lunch money, out of your vacation money with your partner, whatever that may be. That money is coming out of your pocket for a useless service that, if you're taking care of yourself on a day-to-day basis, you really don't have any need for it unless you have a catastrophe. That's it. When you're buying insurance, you are betting against yourself that you're going to be so sick you can't take care of it. Am I saying you should not have it? No. Am I saying you should invest your time in taking care of the things that are in front of your face? Yes, without a doubt. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dig in. So for those of you hopping aboard for the first time, just type first timer. If you're a veteran, type veteran. If you've been with us, a family member for a while, just type family member for a while. Make sure if you post your question, I cannot read your question right here, and I will get to it as soon as possible. I'm not knocking health insurance. I'm giving you a different perspective of what I would call wellness insurance, which is understanding your foods, understanding your symptoms, understanding your emotional body, and why you would need both of them to be able to do that. I was just not in a position to have health insurance because I wasn't in a position to do it, because I was pulling the old entrepreneur route and it was coming out of my pocket, and I wasn't interested in paying $500 a month for something I didn't use. So that was my theory on it. You do what works for you. So here's the thing. Make sure you get the recipe in the comment section. If you have not shared, please do. This way I can support more people just like yourself. So let's go ahead and do this. So here's what happens. When you do the actual stem, here's what I'm going to do first. Okay, I'm going to pull all these little bitty, whatever they are, leaves, I guess is probably a good word for them, right? Make sure I don't rip it out of there. Probably could. So just so you understand, when you're doing this, if you're using this for medicines, which means you're using the enzymes to help your body either deal with pain, deal with cancerous tumors, or any of those. If you're using it for medicines, you're going to need to follow the way I'm going to do it right now. And that is this. You need to make sure that your water is cold first. You're going to blend it a few times. It doesn't really have a flavor, so to think that it tastes bad, it doesn't really taste that bad. And it blends up very simply, very fast, which is kind of interesting. Okay? All I'm doing is pulling all these off. Eventually I'll just rip it off the top, but right now, just to kind of show you without breaking it and ruining my demonstration, since I did forget to tell you about it the first time I shot the video. Here we go. So the enzymes that are in here, like I said, are called CCS and CCZ. They did a study, BBC London News 2005, and they found out that these actual enzymes will actually produce CCS and CCZ, which are enzymes that help with tumors and cancer situations. So here's what I'm doing. That is the actual stump. I've pulled all of the little leaves of it off. I'll throw these over here. I've pulled all the leaves of it off. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the stump off of it. And like I said, this is something that if you're really looking to maximize the medicines in it, what you're looking to do is you're looking to have it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. So one thing that's really important about enzymes is that if you're using enzymes to break down your food, one thing to understand is that if you eat enzymes with your food, it's going to help to break down your food. If you eat enzymes in between meals where your stomach is empty, it will actually help with pain and inflammation, which is one of the good things about this. So all I'm going to do is just cut this little bottom part off. Here we go. It's like a little unicorn. Okay? I'm taking this, I'm putting it in. I'm probably going to put like 4 or 5 ounces of water, and I'll use some of this right here that I have ice already in it. It is good filtered water. So all I'm going to do, this is a Blendtec. This is a 3 horsepower blender. I do not recommend doing this with a Ninja or a Bullet. Although this is not that dense, you may be able to do it. The NutriBullet may work. I know for a fact with the smoothies that I make, I know that a Blendtec or a Vitamix is usually the best way. And here's another one for you. Here's a great freebie. There's one called an MTN, like Mary, Tom, Nancy. It looks like a spaceship. It is kind of big. I got mine on eBay, but I bought one for my parents for about 150 bucks about 3 years ago. That may be something that you can use. And here's the thing. It's one of those things where you're like, man, Brian, that may be 150 bucks or 200 bucks for a blender, but guess what? Think about how much that blender has actually saved me in health costs from not having to go to the doctor, not being sick. When everyone else is getting the flu and getting their ignorant flu shots, I'm not taking part in any of that. I'm using my blender. Take it with me a lot of times. So just remember, anytime you make an investment in your health, you're not paying for it right now. You're paying for it 2 to 4 to 5 years from now, when you would start breaking down and your body would start making different decisions for you. You're now encouraging your body and giving your body the raw building blocks to sustain a healthy way of life. So let's do this. We're going to zap it for 1 minute first, okay? It usually only takes about 1 minute to get it pretty good. So hang on. So that's 1 minute, and that thing is zapped. Now here's the thing. If you're really looking to avoid your sugars before you start putting the pineapple in, then you can totally just drink it like that. It's going to be a little neutral flavor. It's not going to have really a bad flavor at all. All right? So here's the thing. If you wanted to add some coconut or some more pineapple to it, which is what I'm going to do right now, in my recipe I actually show you a little trick. I show you how to add some cinnamon to it to balance out the blood sugar impact. For those of you that may be experiencing blood sugar challenges, type 1, type 2 diabetics, understanding this little trick can pay massive dividends on controlling your insulin levels, which help to control your body fat levels, your cortisol levels, your inflammation levels, all this stuff. The reason why we created our Recharge 24 product that'll be out mid this month, a lot of it is because there's 4 different blood sugar stabilizers in there. There's fenugreek, cinnamon, bitter melon, apple cider vinegar, plus enzymes, plus there's a ton of other stuff in there too. So if you'd like more information on checking that out, you can still access that in the link that's in my post. You can find out more information on that. If you're looking to find more information on how you can dive in and collapse time, like checking out our 30-day challenges or kind of seeing some ways that you may be able to further your experience, you can also do that through the description area, through the link that's in my post. All right, so let's talk about this. So right now, one of the cool things they actually did is there's an enzyme called bromelain or protease, which is a protein digesting enzyme. Very important. So if you're eating meats, you can actually use the pineapple and cut pineapple chunks or slices on top of the meat to pre-digest it while you're cooking it, which you'll find you'll see different cultures that actually do that. And you'll find that that's actually can be very helpful. Like I said, if you're having pain issues, the bromelain is the main one that actually helps with the pain. Now here's the cool part. They actually did a study on the bromelain, and they actually specifically targeted knee pains. They found that a 200 milligram dose of knee pain went down like 41% with using bromelain. They bumped the dose from 200 to 400 milligrams of bromelain, and they noticed the knee pains went away by 59%. So if you have any pains and you haven't found any type of remedy and you're not interested in going with over-the-counter supplements or prescription drugs, trying this out can be very helpful. So let me show you what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take this piece of pineapple right here, that big. I'm going to cut it into a little bit a smaller piece so it's easier for my blender to chew up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it in there for flavoring. I'm not diabetic, and I don't have any challenges with sugars, so I will go ahead and use this, and I'll put that in there. Yeah, I agree with you. What's up, Trey? All right, so here we go. So now all I'm going to do, so you know, we'll be done here in 4 minutes tops. We'll be good. I'm going to put this thing in my blender. I'm going to hit it for another minute, and it's going to be liquefied, totally liquid. Now, like I said, the best way to maximize the medicines, if you're for anti-cancer, anti-tumor, if you're talking pain, inflammation, is to do it on an empty stomach. If you're really looking to maximize the medicinal impacts of this, I would encourage you to make it in the morning. That way it's not sitting overnight in your refrigerator already broken down to where oxygen can already get to it. And this is, of course, if you're being very meticulous. And if you're using this for medicine, I encourage you to be meticulous because you're already investing the time in your health and your well-being. So you may as well take that extra step just to maximize it. Would you agree? If you agree with that, just type yes, I agree. And let's kind of see where you're at. And what I'll do is I'll take the next 4 to 5 minutes and I'll go back through and answer some questions so that way I can close some gaps for those of you that may have more questions or you're requesting more wisdom, then we can figure out the next step for you. Does that sound fair? Awesome. I appreciate you. All right, here we go. I always hit the pulse button just for a second to break it down. And then I'll go for a minute. And I do have some ice right here that I'll add to it. One thing I'll add to that, you do not want this to get hot. If this gets hot, which it will because that's like a lawnmower chewing that stuff up, if this gets hot, it will totally start to degrade or break down the enzymes, so you don't want it to get hot. So just keep a little bit of ice. Like I said, make sure you're using filtered water, filtered ice. I have my Kangen water machine here that I use. It's my favorite health investment ever. I've had it for 5 years, and I've seen lots of interesting things happen with it. So I'm going to put a little bit of ice, just like that, just to keep it cool, like I said. This recipe is all in the link in the description area of my post. In that link, it will take you to the recipe too. Already pretty good. We got it the first time. So what I'm going to do now, this is also a little trick that I added in our recipe. I'm going to add this cinnamon to it, just a little bit. And the cinnamon's going to help to stabilize the blood sugar. So for those of you that may be type 2 diabetics, or you're having blood sugar challenges, if you're having diabetes situations, if you're having heart disease situations, if you're having any types of those situations and you're looking to drop body fat at the same time, this is exactly why we have cinnamon in our Recharge 24 product, because of the potency of it. I use probably, just so you know, I'll be Brian with you, I use probably 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams of cinnamon a day with my foods. So if I'm having carbs or if I'm having foods that will spike my insulin levels, I will have 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams of cinnamon over the day. Usually 2 doses of 500 milligrams a piece. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lightly just zap it. Don't need to do it a lot. I'm just really just getting the cinnamon. And there he goes. All right, like I said, he finished right at 7:30. That's perfect. So what I would like to do now is just open up for questions. I'll go back through there and I will look at some of the questions that are on there and I'll answer them for you, best of my ability. And here's what it looks like. Cheers. 1 million video views later and almost 18,000 shares, and me forgetting to talk about the most important part that I actually shot the video for in the first place. So for those of you that forgive me, I appreciate you. Cheers for you. It really just tastes like pineapple with cinnamon in it. Not a big deal. Actually, if you wanted to make it actually sweeter, you could easily put a little bit of stevia in there. If you're not dealing with any blood sugar issues, you could totally put some raw honey in there, some Manuka honey, or even some, what am I thinking? I choose royal jelly. So royal jelly is pretty cool because that's what they actually give the queen bee. And the queen bee gets 3 or 4 times larger than the normal bees, and she spits out like 3 million eggs just because of the food source difference. So royal jelly is super potent. It's high in B vitamins. So if you have chronic fatigue or you're tired and you find yourself falling asleep all the time and you don't have blood sugar challenges, you could easily check out some royal jelly. So we'll answer for a couple questions. A pleasure talking to you today. Yes, it was, Miss Diane. Troy, I put Macaroot. There you go. I like Macaroot. So any questions, go ahead and just post them on my feed. I will go back. You have my commitment to go back and answer them for you. Right now, that's all I got. I appreciate you. If you haven't shared, please do this way I can support more people just like yourself. And if you caught my story in the beginning of it, just understand you sharing it is not for me. It's for the people that are around us that need the information, that don't know it's available. And they're not going to get it from their specific doctors, and they're not going to get it from their medical professionals because it's just not where they're skilled at. I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm just here to share the truth. And the truth is, this just is not where their education lies. So, hey, Rojas, so let's answer this real quick. Here's what I would suggest. The question on the deck is this, is how often should you drink this? And that's really very relative to the individual, to the issue of why you're drinking it and what your outcome is for, and how your body responds to sugars from fruits. So if you have blood sugar challenges, there's some other things, Robert Lee. If you have blood sugar challenges, it just depends on what your issue is. Are you experiencing cancerous type of tumors? Are you type of automatic or autoimmune challenges? All those are questions that I can answer more in depth because there's a lot of layers to that question. And more than likely, there's a lot of things that aren't being done that are basics that need to be mastered first before you can hop into doing something like this to really maximize it. So here's the best thing I would suggest to do. If you have some questions that I haven't answered and I won't be able to get to them until tomorrow realistically, I've got my last week 4 of my 30-day challenge right after this. If you would like answers to it, here's the best way and the way I can assure you that you will have my attention to be able to do it and get them for you. If you send me a message inside of the link that's in the description area that will take you to the recipe, when you get back there, it'll give you an option of watching a 2-minute video that I created for you. That'll give you some more feedback. Just send me a message from that spot. Just say, hey, Brian, I got a question for you. My team will field it for me or I'll see it, and you have my commitment to answer it for you, and that's just the best way I know that I can go back there and help you out. And ultimately, just understand, you know, our whole purpose and mission here is to support you fully with some of the best tools that we're aware of on the planet. So if you're looking to upgrade your well-being through human optimization, you are in the right place at the right time. So with that being said, have an amazing day. I appreciate you. I love you. I vote your victory. And remember, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. I'll see you soon. I'll chat with you soon too. Bye-bye. No.